Good morning, good morning, good morning. This morning I figured I would get back on live and let you guys know that yes, we had a little technical difficulties yesterday with our live stream on Lydia. So I'm here today again on our Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook Live to bring forth Lydia. So come on and join me. You could catch me live YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram page. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And again, good morning to my early risers, those of you on the sexy Saturday that are just tuning in. Good morning to those that are getting up, and good night to those of y'all that are laying down. And I just wanted to say, yes, it's going to be a beautiful Saturday, a sexy Saturday. And so yesterday, I came on and I offered you guys a story based off the book of Acts, chapter 16, and you can read forward on from the entire chapter 16. What we're introducing today with clear sound is Lydia. Yesterday, I embarked on Lydia and her journey as she was a person that created a lot of fabric and scents and beautiful, and she beautified a whole lot of purple garments she was known for. So there were some other things that Lydia was known for. And a lot of times, a lot of people say, Lydia, well, who was Lydia? Because there's a lot of women that went before us that are mentioned very small, but are mentioned. And so my job is to reintroduce you to the daughters of the Most High, introduce you to the Hebrews, introduce you to the book of Acts, take you back to a time where we need to be remembered, just as a whole, as a community, and as women today, standing up in culture, standing up and wondering our ancestors and everything that went before us. There's something about me that reminds me of someone that you may have never met. So, what we're going to do today is give you a clear, cohesive on this here sexy Saturday on Lydia. So, stay tuned. Yes, you'll be able to hear it.
This is the story of Lydia, seller of purple cloth, respected businesswoman, and the first follower of Jesus in all of Europe. But her real story didn't begin with money or fabric. It began the day she opened her heart to something more. Because when you open your heart to God, your whole household can be transformed. The scent of crushed seashells, boiled herbs, and salt water filled the air as Lydia stepped into her dye courtyard. Two large vats bubbled quietly, one deep violet, the other a shimmering blue-black so rich it almost looked like oil. Boil it slower this time, Lydia called to her apprentice. We're not selling to farmers. This is for Roman nobility. Yes, mistress, the girl said, adjusting the firestones beneath the vats. Lydia moved with purpose, weaving between drying racks where silk hung like jeweled flags. Two camels groaned near the shade. A merchant from Athens argued with her steward about weights, and in the corner, a boy with ink-stained fingers tried to forge her seal. She caught him by the wrist. Try that again, she said, and I'll dye your fingers purple for life. The boy bolted. This was Lydia's world, messy, loud, thriving. She didn't run her household like a noble woman lounging on cushions. She ran it like a captain at sea. Everything had value. Everything had order. Everything had a place. Which is why what happened next completely threw her off. Lydia, called her steward, rushing through the doorway. There's a situation at the cloth tables. She sighed. Of course there is. She followed him past bolts of linen and polished dye pots to the far edge of her courtyard, where a foreigner stood stroking a piece of purple cloth between two fingers. He was tall, sharply dressed, with rings on his fingers and the face of someone who thought flattery could buy anything. Stunning, he said.
Now, for those of you that are just tuning in, This is an animated version of the story of Lydia. Can be found in the book of Acts, chapter 16. Yesterday we came on here at the Big Heart Omnic Incorporated, and I shared the story of Lydia, and it has some sound defect in the background of the TV. So what I'm doing today is coming on and giving you a clear, cohesive version of Lydia that you can share with the entire family. So later on this morning, if you guys want to sit the children down and go ahead to Minister Lisa Glenn YouTube, I'll have the link up for you guys to subscribe, like, and share. So the Lydia presentation from yesterday is being formatted in a better version today. And pardon me, yesterday, my apologies for the distortion of the sound. But today's presentation for the Sexy Saturday is brought to you by knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in a clear, cohesive vision in an animated form of Lydia. Lydia, someone mentioned in the book of Acts, only mentioned once in the books. And I just wanted you guys to be in tune with who is Lydia. I'm sure you guys may have heard of her, and some of you may have not. So again, this is a depiction of yesterday, but in a better audio, and I'm hopefully to retain the audience. And there you guys have it. Enjoy your Sexy Saturday. Share it later on when your family wakes up. Those of you that are tuning in now, take a seat and enjoy the presentation. Lydia, Acts chapter 16, verse 11.
Truly, you're the best in Macedonia. I am, Lydia replied flatly, which means my prices don't change just because you smile. He laughed. Let's not talk price. Let's talk potential. I'll take 5 bolts, deliver them to the villa on the hill, and I'll have the payment ready tomorrow. She narrowed her eyes. No coin, no cloth. But you've worked with others on promise before. Yes, she said. And one of them sent camels instead of payment. I'll pay double, he said, leaning in. You'll pay now, she replied. The moment stretched. Silence. Then his smile vanished. He dropped the cloth, turned, and walked away without another word. Lydia let out a long breath. People like that want the cloth, but not the cost, she muttered. She returned to her main table, rubbing the dye off her palms with a rough cloth. That's when she noticed them. Across the courtyard near the dye vats stood 3 men she'd never seen before. They weren't merchants, they weren't workers, and they weren't browsing. They were watching her. One of them stepped forward, older, bald, eyes bright like morning fire. You handle business like you've handled a battlefield, he said with a smile. Sometimes there's not much difference, she replied. He held out a hand. Paul of Tarsus. She didn't shake it right away. Are you here to buy? No, he said. I'm here to tell you something worth more than cloth. She tilted her head. Do you always walk into businesses uninvited? Only when God sends us. She laughed. God sent you into my dye shop? Yes, Paul said calmly. Why? Paul glanced at the purple-stained water swirling in the vat behind her. Because he's ready to color your world with something even deeper. Lydia stared at him. Not because of what he said, but because something inside her shifted when he said it. Not her heart, not yet, but a door. A door she didn't realize was there, had just creaked open, the river quiet, the wind still. Even the reeds, once swaying gently in the current, now stood tall and waiting. Lydia didn't blink, not as Paul spoke of a man named Jesus, crucified like a criminal, risen like a king. Not as he spoke of forgiveness without sacrifice and mercy without payment. Not even when he said the most dangerous words of all. He is the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Whispers fluttered through the women like startled birds. Some turned away, shaking their heads. Others stepped back toward the safety of familiarity. But Lydia leaned in. Tell me more, she said. Paul's eyes met hers, steady, clear, surprised by how quickly she asked. I've heard many prophets.
Now, for those of you that are just tuning in, yesterday we embarked on Lydia's journey and who she is, who she was, what she did when she encountered Paul. So, right then, she encountered Paul. Someone walked into her boutique where all her fabric and dye is. And she said, well, are you here to buy? He said, no, I'm here to give you something more greater. There was a message from the Most High God. And she said, well, go ahead and tell me then, with no hesitation. She said, well, to herself, she was thinking, well, if it's from God, well, let me hear it, Mr. Paul. So as Paul began to share the message to Lydia, and as I said, today's presentation is a revision of yesterday's presentation that it was distorted. The sound got in the way of the message. So I want to reiterate it so you guys can go back and share it with your families. Lydia, in the book of Acts, chapter 16, when you see it and mention Lydia, you'll understand the assignment at this time because it gets deep. So Paul came to tell Lydia something more deeper than the fabric itself that she was working with. So hold on. Those of you that just tuned in, we're watching the animated version of Who is Lydia? When you say yes to God, you create space for others. So I'll share that part with you. When you say yes to God, you create space for others. And that is the story of Lydia. And this is the animated Bible story on it because I want you to be able to share these miraculous women and these good women with your children and with your men today. The men today need to know that even with Lydia, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. Yesterday, I shared to where people was going to jail, and the first place they got out when they got out went right to Lydia. So pay attention to the story. There's a message in it. Keep watching. There's a message in it.
Lydia added, and many men who think they carry truth. Paul gave a faint smile. So have I. But you speak differently, she said. I don't speak on my own, Paul replied. I've seen him, the risen Lord. Another murmur swept through the group. Lydia stepped closer. What kind of God speaks to a man like you? Paul did not flinch. The kind who knocked me flat on a road and still let me live. The other man beside Paul, quiet until now, shifted his stance. Timothy, young, watchful. He carried scrolls wrapped in worn leather and a sack.
So now Timothy shows up on the scene. Timothy was with Paul at the time. So now he's getting ready to give a testimony as to what God would allow them to show up at her boutique with such a message if it weren't from the Most High himself.
Patched with needlework. He looked at Lydia, then at Paul, then back at the women. May we sit? Paul asked. Lydia nodded. And there, beside the rushing river, beneath a sky that had cleared without warning, Paul sat on a moss-covered stone and began to tell the story. Not a sermon, a story of blindness and light, of cities that stoned him, of jail cells that sang, of a gospel that burned so deep in his bones.
Okay, now I needed y'all to hear that. When Paul began to speak, he gave a story, not a sermon. So sometimes we have to give you the story before the sermon. So he didn't administer a sermon. Come on. He gave her the story on what had happened. He started to let her in on it. You know what I mean? He let her in on it. So now y'all keep watching because it gets deep. I'm gonna stop right here. Y'all go ahead.
No chain could silence it. As he spoke, Lydia sat on a flat rock with her chin resting in her palm, listening harder than she ever had before. Not to what he said,
Come
but
on.
how.
But how he
There was
said
no
it.
performance, no pressure,
Come on.
only the steady.
Right there. She said it wasn't what he said, it was how he was saying it. So she leaned in. You know, like when you're teaching your children and you say, pay attention to me. Come on, listen to me while I'm talking to you. Lydia tuned on in when Paul got to talking. When Paul and Timothy got to telling them stories, she tuned in like she had never before because it was a different type of message. Because again, he wasn't giving a sermon, he was telling the story. He was telling the story.
Of truth spoken by someone who had nothing to gain,
right?
Except her freedom.
There you have it.
The sun rose higher, the water glistened like molten glass, and something shifted inside Lydia. Not a thunderclap, a soft unlocking. A door that hadn't moved in years creaked open just enough for the light to find her. I believe you, she said softly, almost to herself. Paul's voice quieted. The others turned. I believe him, Lydia added, blinking as if waking up from a long, dull sleep. I don't know how I know, but I do. Paul stood and reached for her hand, not in pride, but in joy.
Okay, right there. When Paul reached for her hand in joy, it was because when you say yes to God, you create space for others. So pay attention. She said yes to God. She didn't deny the conversation. She wanted to hear the story. And then she turned around and said yes to God. And when you say yes to God, you create space for others. Come on, Lydia, teach.
Bear witness, he said. Lydia stood beside him. She didn't ask if she was ready. She didn't need another sign.
That's right.
Moments later, she stepped into the water. And as the current wrapped around her, washing dye from her skin, the woman known across Philippi for her strength, her business, and her wealth was now known by something else entirely.
Come on.
Faith. By the time Lydia returned to the city, the hem of her robe was soaked, and her spirit burned brighter than any flame in her dye pot.
Now, a woman known for her garments, known for her work in the community, turn around and show up and say, I turned over a new leaf. I got another profession now. I have been called and spoke to, and the Most High God's own message was sent directly to Lydia. And it can be found in the book of Acts, chapter 16. Come on.
The river still flowed behind her, but now the water meant something more.
That's right.
It wasn't just a place for silence anymore. It had become a beginning. She reached the gate of her stone house in the merchant quarter and turned to the men behind her. Paul, Timothy, Silas. Their sandals were caked with dust, their cloaks worn thin, but their eyes carried peace like it was armor.
Come on.
You'll come in, she said.
That's right.
All of you.
Come in.
Paul hesitated.
You heard her.
Lydia, we don't want to impose.
You're
not, she said.
Hold on.
You're answering a prayer. I didn't know I prayed.
Come on.
The guards opened the gate without question. Lydia rarely brought strangers in, especially not men, and especially not without a transaction behind it.
That's right.
But
so
this
hold on.
wasn't a transaction.
What happened was she usually doesn't say, come into my home to strangers. But whatever it was, that overwhelming feeling, she said, you know what? Y'all come on in. And I shared yesterday, but I had to take it down because our message in the background was a little distorted. But I'm back on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live this morning so that you can have something on your Sexy Saturday to share with your family and to look back on yourself. We're talking about Lydia, someone that was not mentioned, but maybe once in the Bible, in the book of Acts, chapter 16. Look for her honorable mention because she not only was given the abilities to have a business, be a woman of character, in her community. She turned around and said yes to the Most High God. And when you say yes to God, you create space for others. So now we're at the part where Lydia invited the men in to her home, something that she doesn't practice. But we, the people of our community, we have a natural inclination to take people in. We women have taken people from New York, people from Philly. We take people in that we don't even know, sometimes even quicker than we take our own family and peers in. So, as I shared yesterday, and I'm going to keep going today, and I'm going to put the animation back on because it's not for me, it's for you. It's for us. You know, I want you to be able to share with the kids, share with the young people, and let them see who they're investing in. When you invite someone into your home, let it be for a purpose. Now, let's get back to Lydia and what she did. Come on.
She said firmly. Prayer. I didn't know I prayed.
Wait a minute.
The guards opened.
Wait a minute now. She said she didn't even know she had prayed for such a prayer. Hold on.
Her dye pots. The river still flowed behind her, but now the water meant something more.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a place for silence anymore. It had become a beginning. She reached the gate of her stone house in the merchant quarter and turned to the men behind her. Paul, Timothy, Silas. Their sandals were caked with dust, their cloaks worn thin, but their eyes carried peace like it was armor.
Come on.
You'll come in, she said.
She said, you'll come in.
You. Paul hesitated. Lydia, we don't want to impose.
Come on. We don't want to impose. She said, you're not.
Answering a prayer.
Come on.
I didn't know I prayed.
That's right.
The guards opened the gate without question. Lydia rarely brought strangers in, especially not men, and especially not without a transaction behind it.
Okay.
But this wasn't a transaction. It was transformation. The moment they stepped through.
Do you know the difference between a transaction and a transformation? Let's go. Come on. There's a difference between a transaction and a transformation. We talking about the transformation today that happened without a transaction. And let's see what happened when Lydia said, you come in, and them three men, Timothy, Simon, and Paul, they said, we don't want to impose. And she said, you know what? Now I said, come on in. Yeah. Come on, Lydia. Who is your Lydia today? There's a Lydia in all of us. Let's go.
Archway. Something shifted. It wasn't loud. It wasn't strange.
Come on.
It was subtle. Like the wind moving through a room that had long been still.
Come on.
Lydia's courtyard, once reserved for cloth sorting and quiet meals, now echoed with new sounds. Paul's laughter as Timothy tripped over a basket. Silas humming a tune that seemed older than the stones beneath their feet.
Come on, Silas.
Mira, the house steward, watching from the doorway with cautious curiosity.
Look at Mira. Come on.
Bring water, Lydia said.
That's right.
Extra bread.
And bread.
We have guests.
Come on.
Are they buyers? Mira asked.
Come on. Now hold on.
No.
She had her people in the background, Sister Mira. Sister Mira standing in the background like, you say get the good bread and the water, the cold water. Is they buying? Because Mira wasn't the one that was introduced to the miracle. She wasn't the one that didn't know that she didn't pray. She wasn't the one that Paul approached. Yeah, she wasn't the one. So Mira in the background, she's asking, well, is they buying? Because it wasn't no transformation without a transaction. Not for Mira. Now, come on.
Replied. They're builders. Builders of what? Lydia smiled. Something I can't dye or stitch.
That's right.
By sunset, the household was gathered. Not because they were forced, but because something felt different. The rooms seemed brighter, the air lighter. And as Paul sat with them under the woven canopy, he told the story again. This time not on the riverbank, but in a merchant's house lit by lanterns and the scent of rosemary and crushed fig. He spoke of Jesus, the servant king, of Peter and John, of Pentecost, and of a spirit who no longer lived in temples, but in people. Lydia's servants leaned in. Mira forgot her duties. One of the older guards who had once served in Rome crossed his arms and listened with narrowed eyes, but no one left the room, not even when the bread ran out.
Okay,
Then
now wait a
Paul said
minute.
something.
They said that even when the bread ran out, the people stayed. So now Lydia began to keep the people that was once paying customers. They are now there in purpose. Come on.
Still the air. God opened your heart, Lydia,
Come on.
but he's not done. He looked around the courtyard. He wants your house too.
Uh-oh.
Lydia looked at her household. The very people who cleaned her floors, guarded her gates, counted her coins, and prepared her dyes. Her family, by life, if not by blood. And suddenly, she understood. This wasn't just about her.
Come on.
She stood.
Mm.
Then let this house be his. She didn't know it yet.
Ah,
but that
hold
declaration
on.
would.
Now, wait a minute now. Paul turned around and said, now the Most High said he wants your house. And she turned around and she looked and she said, well, so it be. And so she surrendered her home too, without question. When the Most High God comes, sometimes he don't come for just you. He come for the places and things too. So it's the people, places, and things that Lydia was subjected to. And that's where we're at today. Yesterday, we covered a pretty amount of it. But like I said, we had some distortion. So I'm very patient in my obligation to the Most High. Why not come back on and reiterate the entire story of Lydia? Acts chapter 16. Start there for now to stay with me.
Beyond her walls. Because something else had also been listening. Not just her servants, but something darker. In the shadowed alleys of Philippi, whispers were beginning. Men who profited from false spirits, priests who feared losing influence, and a girl, young, bound, watching Lydia's gate from the end of the street. The courtyard was busier now, not with customers, but with questions.
There we go.
Mira had stopped asking for orders. The guards had begun praying with silence. Even the steward, who once rolled his eyes at the mention of prophets, now brought Paul scrolls and wine like he was welcoming a royal. Lydia watched it all with quiet wonder. She didn't have to force anyone. The change was natural.
Now, what we're talking about, and we talked about it yesterday, is Lydia, the way that she took in the strangers and how they basically reformed her whole house, her whole transformation, because she was all about a transaction. So the Paul, Silas, and Timothy showed up at her door. And when they showed up at her door, with Paul first with the message and the other two followed to co-sign it, when she invited them into her home, she didn't believe herself that she was opening up her door to such a transformation or a purpose. She was just opening the door because the Most High God had said, and she said yes. And when you do say yes to God, yes, you open the door for strangers. Yes, you do create a space for others. Yes, you do. So she was creating a space for others and not knowing. So she stood back and watched her company, the people that once worked for her, sitting in the same likeness under one umbrella, one God, one aim, one love. And they was able to sit under the comforts of Lydia's decision to say yes to the Most High God and allowed that space to be created. That space sometimes being your own home. Yeah, you remember we was young girls taking in people from out of town. We didn't even know them people. We knew them by color. Some of them true, blue, up, down, faith, knowledge, different names. We didn't know them. But we the first one yelling, y'all come in. And we was preparing a place. We was preparing a transformation, not a transaction. But what we know now as a transaction, because come on now, somebody. I was right there for the transaction. Yeah, I was for the transaction. But I'm opening my door and opening my heart today for the transformation for people like Lydia that went before me that get a very less of a mention. So you would have to look Lydia up in the book of Acts, chapter 16. Yes. Look her up because there's a Lydia right now today. Turn around and look at her. She took you in. Yeah. Lydia, there's a purpose behind her name, who she is, what she stands for. And we no longer forgetting the daughters, the sisters, the aunties of the Bible, the books of the Most High, not limited to the Bible. The Holy Quran mentions Lydia in the women's section. There's a lot of things that's mentioned that can be compared to because there's some stuff that just don't change. Yes, there's some stuff we do have in common. And moving forward into the more further, we get into the Omni Incorporated. Those of you that are interested, we'll continue to follow until we go one mark at a time. So yes, we are the doves. We are each other's Lydia. We're becoming each other's Lydia in today's modern times. Because in the book of Acts, Lydia, when she said yes to God, she created a center, a space for others. Now come on.
Water soaking into cloth, coloring everything it touched. Her household wasn't just running, it was awakening. Inside her gates, something else was stirring. Whispers, tension, curiosity, laced with fear. One morning, Lydia walked to the marketplace to check on a delayed delivery of linen bolts. Mira walked beside her, basket in hand. As they passed the temple of Apollo, a voice rang out behind them, sharp, too loud, almost mocking. These men are servants of the Most High God. They show the way of salvation. Lydia turned. A girl, barefoot, eyes wild, maybe 14, stood near the temple steps, her fingers twitching at her sides. She stared not at Lydia, but past her, at Paul and Silas, who had just turned the corner. Paul's face changed immediately, not with fear, with grief. The girl shouted again, her voice pitched strangely. They serve the Most High God. They show the way, the way, the way. People turned to look. Some laughed. Some crossed themselves. Paul stepped forward, his expression still calm.
Now hold on. In today's modern times, we're dealing with what they call get y'all children. Now imagine this. Imagine this little 14-year-old little girl they done mentioned. She comes showing up to Lydia's place. She looked right on past Lydia on to Silas and Paul, and I'm standing there. And Paul and I'm looking with oh God, not her. You know, with that look y'all get. You know, y'all see them young people coming like, oh God, not them. And some of y'all be knowing who the kids belong to. So she done went and started proclaiming. I'm telling everybody, they claiming the Most High God. Look at them right there. They in here teaching about the Most High God. She supposed to be selling clothes in there. Y'all supposed to have got your daughter. She 14 years old, mentioned in the Bible, where she done ran and told the people she so-called telling on God. Oh, they preaching in here. Oh, they preaching at Lydia's house. Oh, the men, they talking about the Most High in here. So she done went and told the people that stand against the teachings of the Most High. Those that are non-believers, she went and ran. And like they said, she didn't look at Lydia. She looked past her. You know how y'all see somebody look right on past them? That's him right there. Uh-huh. They in here preaching. Yeah. See, back then that was a crime to be had. So let's see what happens to Silas and Paul now. We breaking everything down. So we're going to talk about that next. Let's see what happens when the little girl done pointed everybody out and start screaming, oh, they praising the Lord in here. Oh, they believe in the Most High God. Let's see what happened next.
But he didn't speak, not yet. Lydia watched carefully. The girl's voice sounded like truth, but something about it felt wrong. Too loud, too frantic, too twisted.
That's right.
She follows us, Paul said later, once they'd returned to the house. Every day now. Why don't you tell her to stop? Lydia asked. She's not speaking for herself, Paul said softly. There's something else in her.
Mm-hmm.
Lydia blinked. A spirit? Paul nodded. One that's been used for profit. She's a slave. That word hit harder than Lydia expected. She dealt in fine fabric, not flesh. But the girl's face wouldn't leave her mind. Those wild eyes, that strained voice, as if someone else had stolen her mouth. The next day, the girl followed him.
Now, right there, where it said, it felt like to Lydia when she heard the young lady's mouth that someone had already stolen her words, had made the little girl be something she wasn't. So pay attention and listen to your children as they speak, how she said it. So the way the little girl said it, Lydia tuned in and said, I've been dealing with fabric and fragrance all my life. Lydia is somebody that never dealt with the flesh. She can't seem to get the wild eyes from the woman, the little girl that stood in front of her. She can't get that thinking, that thought of that little girl's face out of her mind. She's thinking about the innocence in that child that must have been distorted for her to come and start loud talking in front of her establishment. And Simon says she's not speaking that of herself. She's speaking that of a slave. And when Lydia looked and seen in the vision, she said, I can't get her out of my mind because I've been dealing with the fabric and the fragrance for so long. I've never been dealing with the flesh. Imagine some of us on the opposite end of that dealt with nothing but the flesh our entire life. We just now getting businesses and dealing more in fabric and fragrance. So imagine what just happened to deal with the flesh. And she sees a mouth, she said, that had been stolen. Oh, when you see a young girl and she come and a woman like Lydia see that her voice and her mouth had been stolen, you can't get no deeper than that. But we're going to keep going because it gets even deeper.
And the next, and the next. Always the same words, always the same strange rhythm. These are servants of the Most High God. It almost sounded like mockery.
Right.
And every time Paul said nothing.
Right.
Until the fourth day.
On the fourth day, she came back mocking. Hold on now. Hold on. The fourth day, the little girl, she kept coming. Oh, they sent her every day. She showed up every single day. Oh, they believers of the Most High. More and more sarcastic. But on that fourth day, because Paul never replied. But now here we go on the fourth day that she brought her little self back on over there, still screaming to the top of her lungs. They're praising the Most High God, sarcastically. Like that of which they preached was not real. Now, hold on, because didn't nobody teach the younger nothing but how to be a slave. So when somebody tell her to move, she move. Somebody go tell her to go be loud in front of the crowd, she go do that. But instead, Paul got up on that fourth day. Come on, day 4.
It happened near the city gate. The girl shouted again. But this time, her voice cracked halfway through. She stumbled. Her face twisted, not with pain, but confusion. As if something inside her was crumbling. Paul turned sharply. His voice was firm, but full of compassion. In the name of Jesus Christ, he said, I command you, come out of her.
Come
the
on.
square fell silent. The girl dropped to her knees, and in that moment, something invisible broke. Lydia didn't see it, but she felt it.
That's right.
The kind of silence that follows thunder. The kind that means everything has just changed. The girl blinked.
That's right.
Looked around and whispered, what happened?
Right.
Lydia stepped forward, knelt beside her, and touched her shoulder gently. You're free.
You're free. Come on.
The girl started to cry.
That's right.
But in the shadows, 2 men watched. Her owners.
Her
and
owners.
Their faces were filled not with awe, but with fury.
Furious.
Because the moment the spirit left her, so did their prophet.
Hold on.
And they weren't going to stay silent.
Now, the moment that Paul checked their spirit at the door, I asked you in the name of the Most High to be removed, release yourself from this young girl. And when she fell down to her knees, And Lydia looked and seen what she couldn't see, but she felt it. And she said, hmm. And when the little girl looked up and she said, now what happened? And Lydia touched her with that touch of assurance, that it's going to be okay. You're free. But now her owners, now standing in yonder, looking down upon everything, not in happiness and in awe. Oh no, but in upset, mad, and angry. How dare you? That's our prophet you dealing with now. How they're definitely not going to be quiet about it, because they was all for the prophet, not the transformation. They're more transactional. Remember, that was their slave that you done made be still, Paul. Paul done called on the Most High God and said, now remove the devil from out of the young girl. Remove the words and the anguish and the ignorance and arrogance and deceit that come with being a slave, being told what to do. So he brought that child back to God. And in front of the slave masters, they didn't like that. So we're going to talk about what happened. They didn't want to be quiet about it. Oh, no, they ain't going to stand there and just let that happen. Now, hold on now. Oh, no, not dealing with their profit. Now, the transaction outweighed the transformation since we can remember. I don't recall even choosing the transformation. The transformation chose me. I was all for the transaction, but God takes you on the road that he wants you to get on. She, he, it, whatever you believe in.
The next morning, Lydia's dye shop never opened. The shutters remained bolted. The servants whispered in the hallways, and Lydia herself stood frozen near the outer gate, basket of cloth still in hand, her thoughts tangled like unraveled thread. Mira ran up the stairs 2 at a time. They've taken them, she gasped. Paul and Silas. Lydia spun. Taken?
Come on.
They were preaching by the baths, Mira said breathlessly. Those men, the ones who owned the girl, dragged them through the streets. They told the magistrates Paul was stirring rebellion because he's a Jew. Lydia dropped the basket.
Uh-oh.
What did
Paul was being accused of spreading rebellion because he wanted to talk about God. So the two that enslaved that little girl, they grabbed Paul and Silas and took them somewhere so that they could stop talking about the miracles of the Most High God. Imagine that. Imagine trying to shut you up by talking about the Most High God through laughter, ridicule, and putting somebody down and talking down upon them, and it not working. And what happens is those that are seekers of the Most High, seekers of the miracles, and seekers of the promise, they come forward and they stand with those that come in the hours like we do and share ourselves in the miracles, even on a sexy Saturday. Yeah. So those of you that are just tuning in, we're speaking about Lydia. We spoke about it yesterday. We speaking about how when you answer yes to God, that you create space for others. And we're sharing that you would understand that just a simple come on in. But it took a slave, somebody that enslaved your mind, tell you what to do. You go in front of the crowd and disrupt everything. Now you done took her people's, Lydia standing there in disbelief, like, I can't believe this young girl did that. Yeah, because she did not know. But now that the little girl was free, the two men said, you know what? You're not going to get in the way of my money. So in order to keep you quiet, we're going to have to lock y'all two up. So now the two get locked up.
Straights do. They didn't ask questions. They didn't even listen. By the time Lydia reached the public square, a crowd had already gathered. Dust hung thick in the air, kicked up by shuffling feet and angry voices. In the center of it all, Paul and Silas stood shirtless and bloodied, backs raw from beatings, wrists bound in rope.
Took them and beat them.
They are teaching things unlawful for Romans, a merchant cried. Outsiders, poisoning our streets, shouted another. Lydia pushed her way forward, heart pounding. That's not true. A guard stepped in front of her, spear lowered. Go home, woman. I know them, Lydia said. They've harmed no one. Go, the guard growled. She backed away slowly, jaw tight. This city. The city that had bought her cloth and filled her home with coin.
That's right.
The city didn't want truth.
Her customers.
It wanted silence.
Her customers wanted
By
silence.
dusk, Paul and Silas were locked in the deepest part of the prison, their feet clamped in stocks, their wounds untreated. And Lydia sat at the edge of her courtyard fountain, staring at the rippling water. Her household was silent. Mira finally asked, "Should we hide?" Lydia shook her head. "No," she said. "We keep the lamps burning. We keep the doors open." "But what if they come for you?" "Then let them find light."
Let's
Lydia
go.
said softly.
Let's go. Let's go.
She rose to her feet.
Let's go.
And walked to the storage room. There, behind the racks of unused linen and sealed jars of dye, she found what she was looking for: a clean cloth, software, strong. She soaked it in oil, then wrapped it in a sealed pouch. "Where are you going?" Mira asked. "To the jail."
That's
Lydia
right.
said.
Come on.
"With balm. You'll be seen." "I hope I'm seen."
Come on. Wait a minute.
Night, as the
she said she found a clean cloth and she wrapped it in something. And she said, "I'm going to the jail." You know how we do it. We go and ride with y'all. We come to the jail. We write letters. We wait. Now, come on. She stood by her two friends, and now she's going to the prison. Let's see what happens when she get there, because her sister said, "Now, you know they're going to see you." She said, "And let them see me, because when they see me, let them see light," she said. Now, come on, Lydia. Come on, Lydia. Something so powerful mentioned one time in the book of Acts, chapter 16. Imagine being put so deep into the works and miracles of the Most High God and just be mentioned maybe once. It just goes to show that it takes no titles and no rhythm, no rhyme to be discouraged, be encouraging to the Most High, be an encouragement to your community. Open the door. She said, "Leave the doors open." She said, "Leave them unlocked." And they said, "And if they come for me," Lydia said, "then let them see light when they come."
Philippi went quiet. Lydia walked toward the prison
Come
with
on.
steady steps, unarmed,
marching,
unafraid,
unarmed,
and carrying more than ointment.
Come on.
She carried her allegiance. Her transformation wasn't private anymore.
Come on.
Because when you open your heart to God, your courage becomes someone else's shelter. The jail was colder than Lydia imagined. Not the kind of cold that came from stone, but the kind that sank into your chest. A forgotten kind of cold, where even the air smelled like regret. The guards barely looked at her when she entered. She had come prepared, not with bribes, but with oil for wounds and bread for the brave. One guard, younger than the others, narrowed his eyes. "You're that woman, the merchant." Lydia nodded. "Yes."
That's right.
He stared for a moment, then stepped aside
That's
without
right.
a word.
No, without a word.
She descended the steps alone.
Come on.
Torchlight flickered
Come on.
off wet walls. Chains clinked in distant corners.
Come on.
And then she heard it. Not groaning, not cursing.
Come on.
Singing.
Singing.
Low at first.
Come on.
Then stronger. Two voices.
Come on.
Woven together like threads in her own loom.
Come on.
She reached the final chamber.
That's
where
right.
The stocks were locked around raw ankles and blood stained the ground.
She was at the hole.
There they were.
Come on.
Paul
She was in the hole. Paul and Silas.
Bound.
Come on.
Still singing.
Come on.
Lydia stared.
Wait a minute now.
"I brought oil," she said quietly.
Wait a minute now. She done let them in. And then she done said, "You know what? Y'all done got my peoples locked up there. You're not servicing them. You got them in the hole." Had them in the deepest, darkest part of the prison. You know that part of the prison where they give you the food loaf. The hole is what it's known as. And when they said, "Oh, you that lady," they moved out the way and didn't say a word and let her in. And when she approached the prison and she got further and further down towards the hole, there she heard a voice of two connected by one, Silas and Paul, remained singing, even in the deepest part of the prison, known to us today, known to man as the hole. So she says, I'm here with ointment. She said she didn't hear no cussing, no fussing. When she got there, she heard the sound of music. Now imagine being stripped, beaten, thrown in prison, untreated, uncared for, and still praising your God, still calling out to the Most High, past the people, past the prison, past the guards, the people that beat you and took you there, the ones that threw you away. Here she came with bread for the brave, bandages and ointment for those that was untreated in that prison. Here comes Lydia, Acts chapter 16. Come on, Lydia. And I asked yesterday when I gave it, the sound in the background didn't allow us to go forward. But today I'm giving you an animated version with a clear sound and a clear message that listen. Who is Lydia in your life today? You can manifest Lydia in your life today. How many people have you let in? They went to prison and they went to jail from your house and returned, even though they went to jail from your house. They went to jail from that woman's house. She left her doors open and went on to the jail and said, well, let them in then, because I'm tired of them. She said, well, if they're going to come and they're going to see me, then let them see me then. And let them see light, you know. So now she's there in the prison. She's on her visit and she's hearing the music and she's there with Paul and Silas and quite a few others and she's feeding the bread. And let's see what happens.
Paul opened one eye and smiled.
Uh-huh.
So did we, just a different kind.
That's right.
She knelt beside him, unwrapping the cloth. You're bleeding. We're breathing, Silas said. That's enough. She reached out to press the oil to Paul's shoulder. He flinched, but not from pain, from something deeper. You're not afraid to be seen with us? He asked. I was, Lydia whispered, but not anymore. She paused. I opened my heart, my house. What good is it if I lock my courage away?
Okay, hold on. What good is opening your heart in your house if you just gonna lock your courage down? If you got the courage to open your doors, your heart and your mind to the public and to the people, why would you let your courage keep you from standing with them? He said, aren't you ashamed, afraid to be around us? And she said, you know, I was at first. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I was, you know, y'all done went to jail. Y'all hot boys. But guess what she said? Nope, I'm cool now. I'm good. I don't mind being seen with you. Come on, the Most High God said, when you say yes, that you open and create space for others. Come on.
After her words was heavy, but not empty.
Excuse
it was
me.
holy. She bandaged both men quietly, then leaned back against the stone wall, oil on her hands, blood on her sleeves. The songs began again. Simple, steady, praises in the pitch black. Above them, the city of Philippi slept, but below something shifted. The air changed, the stones groaned, the chains rattled. Then, without warning, the earth shook. The ground rolled beneath them like a crashing wave. Dust exploded from the ceiling. Shackles snapped. Doors slammed open one by one.
Come on.
Iron hinges screeching like thunder.
What?
Lydia gripped the wall. An earthquake? Paul looked around, calm, amazed.
Come on.
No, he whispered. A deliverance.
Come on, deliverance.
Guards screamed. Prisoners cried out. The young jailer burst into the corridor with a drawn sword, panic in his eyes. They're gone, he shouted. They've escaped. But Paul's voice rang out like a bell. We're here. Do not harm yourself. The jailer froze, lowered the blade, turned slowly, and fell to his knees. Who are you? He asked, breathless. What kind of men sing the walls open? Paul stepped forward, chains now broken on the floor. Servants of the living God. The jailer looked up. What must I do to be saved?
Come on.
Lydia's hand flew to her mouth
Uh-huh.
because she had seen transformation before.
Come on.
But now, right here, another household was about to change.
Come on.
The courtyard lamps were still lit when Lydia returned home, this time with more than oil and bandages. She walked through the gates with Paul and Silas at her side, and trailing behind them, still wide-eyed and speechless, was the city jailer and his wife and two sleepy children. And no one said a word at first. Mira rushed out from the kitchen, blinking in surprise. You're back. Wait, is that the jailer? Lydia nodded. He's clean now, she said, inside and out.
That's right.
The children stared at Silas's bruised face. The jailer's wife looked down at her hands, unsure whether to thank Lydia or apologize.
Right.
Sit, Lydia said gently.
Have a seat.
You're not intruding.
Come on.
You're home.
Come on.
Bread was brought.
Let's go.
Wine was poured.
Come on.
And for the first time,
A time
two
was had.
households, one merchant,
Come on.
one military,
Come on.
shared a table not built by politics or
Come on.
purchases,
Come on.
but by mercy. Paul,
Not by politics and purchase, but by mercy. Come on. Come on to the table. Come on.
still sore, raised his cup. Let me tell you what happened before the quake. The jailer, even Mira stopped pouring the wine.
Come on.
And so Paul told it again. Of Jesus, of grace,
Come on.
of the cross, the empty tomb, the spirit that gave strength in chains and songs in darkness. He spoke simply, no pressure, no parade, just truth. And by the end of it, the jailer's wife wiped tears from her cheek with the corner of her shawl. I never thought faith could sound like this,
Come on.
she whispered. It didn't, Lydia said. Not until it found my door.
Come on.
The jailer stood. So what happens now? You believe, Paul said,
Come on.
and you follow.
You believe
The man looked
and
at
you
his
follow.
children,
Come on.
then his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Then we believe. There was no river that night,
That's right.
but there was water, drawn in clay jars from Lydia's own well.
Come on.
And under the stars of her courtyard,
Come on,
another
Lydia.
baptism began.
Come on, Lydia.
She wrapped the little girl in one of her softest linens, placed a hand on the jailer's shoulder as he knelt in prayer,
Come on.
and realized this wasn't just her house anymore.
Come on,
It was
Lydia.
God's.
Come on, God's house.
One woman's open heart, one household transformed,
Come on.
and now another. The dye vat steamed quietly in the morning light, but Lydia could feel it in the air. Something had shifted. Again. This time, not in her home,
Come on.
but in the city. The first clue came in whispers.
Not just her home, the city. The first clue came in whisper. Pay attention. Pay attention. It took one time for that woman to open up her home and say yes to the Most High God. And when she said yes, she created space for others. Come on now. Come on now. She said yes to God and created space for others. And then she walked into the prison without no politician and products and purchase. She showed up with purpose. Come on. And not only did she shift her house, she shifted the city. And the city itself did a about face. The city became generous with worshiping the Most High. They stopped locking people up because they love the Lord. They start encouraging people to dwell in their homes and invite the people in. Lydia not only invited y'all in to her home, she invited the city, the state, the community into her heart. And then she opened their heart and opened up a whole nother home called community. Now, come on, pay attention.
Two buyers from Thessalonica stood too close together
Come
in
on.
her market stall, pretending to inspect a bolt of violet cloth. She's housing them, I heard, one murmured.
Uh-huh.
The men who stirred up the square. Did you see the jailer following her like a student?
Right.
Careful, the other said.
It's more.
She's got Roman clients.
It's more of them.
And influence. Exactly. That's what makes it dangerous. Lydia stood just around the corner, arms folded, listening through a curtain of drying silk. Mira appeared beside her, face pale. Should I say something? Lydia shook her head. They've already said it. By midday, a city official arrived. Not a soldier, a taxman, with 2 assistants and a scroll. They asked about trade licenses, checked shipping laws, counted bolts of cloth. And then, almost casually, the official looked Lydia in the eye. We've heard your household's grown. It has, she replied.
Not the snitches done went and told her household done grew. They in there checking her inventory. The tax people is there to audit her. That's what we know today as an audit. Oh, they done ran down on her business now. They said, oh, did you see the way the jailhouse man, the owner, and the politicians was following her like students? Y'all don't like that. Oh, no. Did y'all see the way they was following her? And they said, well, we're going to run down and check your paperwork, businesswoman. So when they got to questioning her and saying, hey, I see your business increase, she said, yeah, it has. And are you housing people? This is how today's society is today. Think about it. Lydia was already going through it. Come on.
Strange how quickly some homes shift loyalties. She didn't blink. My loyalty hasn't changed, just deepened. He rolled the scroll slowly. We'll be watching. When he left, Lydia turned to Mira. Lock the ledgers. Count the coin. No one enters the vault but us. That night, her household gathered again. Fewer smiles, more questions. Paul sat quietly at the center, his hands folded in prayer. Do you regret coming here? Lydia asked him softly. Paul looked up with peace in his eyes. The truth has never been welcomed without resistance. She looked around the table. Her guards, her weavers, Mira, the jailer, and his family. They were all watching her, not Paul, her. Because when you open your heart to God, you also become a gate for others.
Come on.
And when pressure comes, they need to know the gate won't shut.
That's right.
Lydia stood. If they want to watch, she said, let them see the truth. She raised a cup. This house will not shrink. We will pray louder, love deeper.
That's right.
And if we lose customers for it,
so well, so be it.
Mira whispered, what if they shut us down? Then the truth goes to the street, Lydia replied. But it will not go silent. Because her home had been transformed, and no magistrate, scroll, or whisper could roll it back.
That's right.
It came before dawn. A letter, folded tight, sealed with dark wax, and slipped under Lydia's door. No name, no greeting, just a warning. The city tolerates prophets, but not rebellion. Send them away, or lose everything you've built. Lydia read it.
Okay, the ultimatum. Hold on.
Twice, then burned it in the courtyard lamp.
She read it twice. It was the ultimatum. You put them out, you stop worshiping the Most High, or you close your business down. So you pick your profit over your prosperity that you're going to get by saying yes to God and creating space for others. You say, well, if you're going to shut my business down, I'm going to go ahead and let you try me. They gave her the warning, and she stuck by her guns, which is she stood on the Most High God, on the shoulders of the Most High, and continued on.
Mira watched the smoke rise, wide-eyed. Do you think it's from the magistrate? I think it's from fear, Lydia said. That morning, Paul paced quietly beneath the olive trees in the upper court. Timothy copied scripture onto scraps of cloth for the new believers. Silas had bruises on his ribs, but his voice was already humming praise again. And the jailer? He stood guard at the gate, not by order, but by choice. They're going to press you, Paul said when Lydia brought him a cup of water. They already have. Paul's brow furrowed. If you tell us to go, we'll go. I won't let your name be ruined because of us. Lydia stared at him, her voice calm but fierce. This house was built on business. Now it stands for something eternal. She stepped closer. If the cost of that is my reputation, then let it fall. By midday, the first sign of real trouble arrived. 2 Roman officials, dressed not in soldiers' armor, but in black robes of authority, stood at Lydia's gate. She met them there, not flinching. You house fugitives, one said plainly. The city remembers.
Come on, Lydia. Where's your Lydia today? Let me hit the light a minute. I want to know who's housing fugitives today. Let's take it back for a minute. Listen to this. We looking for Lydia in your life today. We talked about it yesterday. We had some little bit of distortion. So today I want you to just hear what he just said. They came to her door, not in cop clothes, but in robes. Now listen.
Stood at Lydia's gate. She met them there, not flinching. You house fugitives, one said plainly. The city remembers. I house servants of God, Lydia replied. They insulted the empire with their teaching. If the unrest continues, so will investigations, licenses, trade restrictions. He leaned closer. Do you understand what that means, Lydia of Thyatira?
Uh-oh.
She nodded. It means my business was never mine to begin with.
Oh.
They left.
There's the key kicker. The business was never mine, is what she said. She was a respected businesswoman in her community. The moment that she said yes to God and created space to others, she began being questioned by the authorities in her community. They showed up at her door and wanted to know, am I making myself clear? If you're going to keep letting Silas and Paul and all them in your house, the worship, we shutting your business down. So what you going to do, Lydia? What do you do? Oh, y'all got to go about my business. I can see y'all today now. Oh, no, they can't be in here. I bet work too hard for my business. But then did you sell your soul at that point to keep your business? Or did you go ahead and say, you know what? The business was never mine. If I had to have all this paperwork on it, that's your business. Learn something because Lydia, has learned today. Come on, let's go, Lydia. Where you at in your life? Choose you today, Lydia. Come on. They told Lydia, am I making myself clear? We're here to let you know you're going to stop praising and letting people in your home and in your business, which you created your profit for. And instead of a transaction, you think you're going to have a transformation. Not in our city, they told her. Not in their hometown, they told her. They told Lydia, no, you're not. You're harboring a fugitive, they told her. She said, no, I'm keeping and housing the men that's giving the word of God. These are just the pastors and the preachers that's passing through. Paul, Silas, come on, Timothy. They was just passing by and she invited them in. And in doing so, she created a safe place for people to come and see her at. So yeah, you guys can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm going to finish concluding our animated version of Lydia. Again, those that are just tuning in, Lydia was shown yesterday. It has some distortion. I took it down. Today's version is a more animated for your entire family. And I hope you're getting a full understanding on who Lydia was, what she stood for, and how she conducted business. So she went beyond transactions. She went through transformation. Let's go.
Without further threat. But Mira was shaking. They're not just watching anymore. I know, Lydia said. That's why I've decided. Decided what? Lydia took a deep breath. Tonight, I'll meet with the elders of the merchant guild myself before they summon me, before rumors poison what's true. And so that night, with only 2 guards accompanying her, Lydia walked into the stone hall beneath the city walls.
Come on, City
the place
Hall.
where deals were made
Mm-hmm.
and names were built.
That's right.
13 men sat in a circle, all wealthy, all wary. Most had worn her fabrics, all knew her name. Lydia, the lead merchant said, your house has become complicated. It's become honest, she answered. Is it true, another asked, that you let prisoners sleep under your roof?
Uh-oh.
Yes. And you let them speak freely in your court?
Now, how many of us have taken prisoners freely into our home? Family members, acquaintances, our significant others, husbands, wives. We've taken prisoners in. Come on, we let them use our address. We've paroled. We've helped. Come on, Lydia. There's a Lydia today standing still. Come on, let's talk about it.
I do. Then you understand what's at stake.
That's right.
Your contracts, your name,
your contracts,
your title,
your titles.
I understand.
She said, I know.
Said, standing taller, that my household is now ruled by something more eternal than titles.
Come on.
A silence fell.
Uh-oh.
Long.
Come on.
And heavy. Until the lead merchant sighed, then said quietly, then you'll make no deals. Only one, Lydia replied, that the truth is not for sale.
Come on.
And with that, she turned and walked out, unshaken.
Wait a minute. She turned around and said, the truth is not for sale. So they already threatened to shut her business down. And they've already worn the best of her garments, and most of them bought her stuff from her. So that she's very well known to these 13 individuals down underneath the city tent where the city hall is known as here. She walked out of the door and said, the truth is free. Uh-oh. Come on.
Unbent.
Unbent.
Because when you open your heart to God,
come on,
you stop fearing what you might lose.
That's right.
And start protecting what can never be taken. The sound came at dusk, not the clatter of carts or the hum of buyers, but the sharp, rhythmic strike of boots on stone, guards, 6 of them. And they weren't knocking, they were entering. Come on. Lydia was in the inner courtyard arranging supplies for a gathering that evening. Mira came running out of breath. They're here, she said. They're here. With scrolls and weapons. Lydia didn't panic. She didn't run. That's right. She smoothed her tunic and stepped into the light. That's right. The lead guard unrolled a document and read it aloud. Come on. By order of the city council. By the order of the city council. Of Thyatira is hereby detained for questioning in relation to civic unrest, unauthorized assemblies, and housing fugitives of Roman arrest. Paul stepped forward, but Lydia raised a hand. No, she said quietly. Let me go. Mira's voice cracked. They'll try to shame you. They can try, Lydia said, already lifting her chin. That's right. But they can't change the truth. Come on. As she walked through her own gate, now flanked by guards, citizens peered from behind curtains and alleys. Some whispered, others just stared. But I'm going to take it backward. You can hear them say the city council and everything else took her business from underneath of her, which was that paperwork. Hold on. Forward, but Lydia raised a hand. No, she said quietly. Let me go. Mira's voice cracked. They'll try to shame you. They can try, Lydia said, already lifting her chin. But they can't change the truth. As she walked through her own gate, now flanked by guards, citizens peered from behind curtains and alleys. Some whispered, others just stared. But Lydia looked only forward. Because when your heart belongs to God, You don't walk in fear, you walk in purpose. The questioning hall was cold and empty, not a trial, not yet, just a room meant to wear her down. A scribe sat in the corner. The magistrate leaned across the table, smiling faintly. You've built quite the name for yourself, Lydia. Wealth, influence, control over your own house. Admirable, rare. I had help, she said. From the apostles? From God. He tilted his head. Why give that up? I haven't given anything up, she said. I've gained something better. Then perhaps, he said, you'd consider proving your loyalty. Publicly distance yourself. Close your home gatherings. Let the city breathe.
They told her to shut her doors. Steadily.
This city is breathing for the first time.
Come on, Lydia.
He laughed. So, you'll make no compromise? I already made the only one that matters. I gave my heart to God.
Come on.
And he gave me my purpose.
There you go.
By nightfall,
you give your heart to God, and God gives you your purpose. There's nothing that nobody can take when you've already prepared a place. Because when you say yes to God, you create space for others.
Go. No charges, no sentence. But not because they were convinced, because they weren't ready to deal with her. Not yet. As she stepped out into the cool night air, Mira ran to her, followed by Paul and Silas. Did they harm you? No, Lydia said. But they wanted me to shrink.
Uh-oh.
Paul looked concerned.
They wanted her to shrink. You heard her. They wanted Lydia to shrink. She refused. She refused. Oh, come on now. Wait a minute now.
A silence fell, long and heavy, until the lead merchant sighed, then said quietly, then you'll make no deals. Only one, Lydia replied, that the truth is not for sale. And with that, she turned and walked out, unshaken.
Because I'm taking it back because there's something I need you to hear.
And no magistrate, scroll, or whisper could roll it back. It came before dawn. A letter, folded tight, sealed with dark wax, and slipped under Lydia's door. No name, no greeting, just a warning. The city tolerates prophets, but not rebellion. Send them away. Or lose everything you've built. Lydia read it twice, then burned it in the courtyard lantern. Mira watched the smoke rise, wide-eyed. Do you think it's from the magistrate? I think it's from fear, Lydia said. That morning, Paul paced quietly beneath the olive trees in the upper court. Timothy copied scripture onto scraps of cloth for the new believers. Silas had bruises on his ribs, but his voice was already humming praise again. And the jailer? He stood guard at the gate, not by order, but by choice. They're going to press you, Paul said when Lydia brought him a cup of water. They already have. Paul's brow furrowed. If you tell us to go, we'll go. I won't let your name be ruined because of us. Lydia stared at him, her voice calm but fierce. This house was built on business. Now it stands for something eternal. She stepped closer. If the cost of that is my reputation, then let it fall. By midday, the first sign of real trouble arrived. 2 Roman officials, dressed not in soldiers' armor, but in black robes of authority, stood at Lydia's gate. She met them there, not flinching. You house fugitives, one said plainly. The city remembers. "I house servants of God," Lydia replied. "They insulted the empire with their teaching. If the unrest continues, so will investigations, licenses, trade restrictions." He leaned closer. "Do you understand what that means, Lydia of Thyatira?" She nodded. "It means my business was never mine to begin with." They left without further threat, but Mira was shaking. "They're not just watching anymore." "I know," Lydia said. "That's why I've decided." "Decided what?" Lydia took a deep breath. "Tonight, I'll meet with the elders of the Merchant Guild myself before they summon me, before rumors poison what's true." And so that night, with only 2 guards accompanying her, Lydia walked into the stone hall beneath the city walls, the place where deals were made and names were built. 13 men sat in a circle, all wealthy, all wary. Most had worn her fabrics, all knew her name. "Lydia," the lead merchant said, "your house has become complicated." "It's become honest," she answered. "Is it true," another asked, "that you let prisoners sleep under your roof?" "Yes." "And you let them speak freely in your court?" "I do." "Then you understand what's at stake, your contracts, your name, your title." "I understand," Lydia said, standing taller, "that my household is now ruled by something more eternal than titles." A silence fell, long and heavy, until the lead merchant sighed, then said quietly, "Then you'll make no deals." "Only one," Lydia replied, "that the truth is not for sale." And with that, she turned and walked out, unshaken, unbent. Because when you open your heart to God, you stop fearing what you might lose and start protecting what can never be taken. The sound came at dusk, not the clatter of carts or the hum of buyers, but the sharp, rhythmic strike of boots on stone. Guards, 6 of them, and they weren't knocking, they were entering. Lydia was in the inner courtyard arranging supplies for a gathering that evening. Mira came running out of breath. "They're here," she said, "with scrolls and weapons." Lydia didn't panic. She didn't run. She smoothed her tunic and stepped into the light. The lead guard unrolled a document and read it aloud. "By order of the city council, the merchant Lydia of Thyatira is hereby detained for questioning in relation to civic unrest, unauthorized assemblies, and housing fugitives of Roman arrest." Paul stepped forward, but Lydia raised a hand. "No," she said quietly. "Let me go." Mira's voice cracked. "They'll try to shame you." "They can try," Lydia said, already lifting her chin. "But they can't change the truth." As she walked through her own gate, now flanked by guards, citizens peered from behind curtains and alleys. Some whispered, others just stared. But Lydia looked only forward. Because when your heart belongs to God, you don't walk in fear, you walk in purpose. The questioning hall was cold and empty, not a trial. Not yet, just a room meant to wear her down. A scribe sat in the corner. The magistrate leaned across the table, smiling faintly. "You've built quite the name for yourself, Lydia. Wealth, influence, control over your own house. Admirable, rare." "I had help," she said. "From the apostles?" "From God." He tilted his head. "Why give that up?" "I haven't given anything up," she said. "I've gained something better." "Then perhaps," he said, "you'd consider proving your loyalty." Publicly distance yourself. Close your home gatherings. Let the city breathe. Lydia looked at him steadily. This city is breathing for the first time. He laughed. So, you'll make no compromise? I already made the only one that matters. I gave my heart to God, and He gave me my purpose. By nightfall, they let her go. No charges, no sentence, but not because they were convinced, because they weren't ready to deal with her. Not yet. As she stepped out into the cool night air, Mira ran to her, followed by Paul and Silas. Did they harm you? No, Lydia said, but they wanted me to shrink. Paul looked concerned. They'll try again. Lydia nodded. They can try anything they want, she said, but the door is still open. The lamps are still lit, and this house still belongs to the one who transformed it. And even as soldiers faded into the shadows, so did fear, because Lydia had chosen her side. The following evening, the courtyard glowed. Lanterns flickered across every stone wall. Bread steamed on trays. Voices hummed like quiet thunder, dozens of them. Mira had tried to count, but gave up somewhere after 30. They came in small clusters, widows, fishermen, one temple scribe who claimed he was just curious. Even the jailer brought a cousin, and his wife brought food for a dozen more. And in the center of it all, Lydia. She moved from group to group like a weaver threading a masterpiece, offering smiles, comfort, stories, scripture. Her home pulsed with warmth, not the kind made by fire, the kind made by freedom. Paul stood by the olive tree, hands lifted in prayer. Silas played a soft melody on a stringed lyre. The children chased each other through the arches, giggling. One boy wore a cloth wrapped like Paul's robe and called himself Little Apostle. Lydia laughed when she saw him. Even joy had come home again. But the moment wasn't just celebration. It was resistance, holy resistance to fear, to silence, to shame. Because Lydia hadn't just opened her heart. She opened a spiritual doorway in the heart of Philippi. As the sky turned indigo, Paul began to teach again, not from a scroll this time, but from experience. He pointed to people gathered in the courtyard. You've heard of Jesus in the synagogue, maybe, or in whispers, but now you've seen him here, in a freed girl, in a jailer's tears, in a woman who once traded purple cloth, but now gives out her table like it's bread for the world. Lydia's eyes burned at that. She didn't move, didn't nod, just absorbed it because it was true. She had always been a woman of means, but now she was a woman of mission. After the teaching, one older man stood. His robe was faded, but his voice was strong. I spent years chasing power, he said, and now I've seen it. Right here, not in coins, but in courage. Another woman added, I only came to listen, but I found a home. And slowly, one by one, they began to pray. Some with words, some with tears, some with silence. And as the night grew late, Lydia stood near the gate, watching the lamps flicker across the courtyard stones. She saw her old world, business, pride, reputation, slipping into the background, and something better rising in its place. A household transformed, a city awakened, pride, reputation slipping into the background, and something better rising in its place. A household transformed, a city awakened.
I want to thank everybody that tuned in. And I would just like for you guys to be able to reference Acts chapter 16, verse 11. Lydia becomes a follower of the Lord. We sailed straight from Troas to Samothrace, and the next day we arrived at Neapolis. From there, we went to Philippi, which is a Roman colony in the first district of Macedonia. We spent several days there. Then on the Sabbath day, we went outside the city gate to a place by the river where we thought there would be a Jewish meeting place for prayer. We sat down and we talked with the women who came. One of them was Lydia. Lydia, who was from the city of Thyatira and sewed expensive purple cloth. She was a worshiper of the Lord God, the Most High, and he made her willing to accept what Paul was saying. Then, after she and her family were baptized, she kept on begging us, if you think that I really do have faith in the Lord, the Most High God Himself, come stay in my home. Finally, we, as in Paul, accepted her offer and her invitation and went into her home. That is today's story on Lydia. It can be found in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 11. Lydia becomes a follower of the Lord. You guys have a very blessed day. I look forward to seeing you later on for the rest of the Sexy Saturday. Take time and go back and look into Lydia. Yes, we did go over it yesterday, but those of you that are tuning in today, yes, I took it down and erased it. It talked about a lot, but we had a lot of muffle in the background. So today we're on clarity. I can be seen on Instagram, Facebook Live, and YouTube, as well as TikTok. But with TikTok, I'm using that as my store platform. So I won't be going live on there. So I look forward to you guys staying with me. And as my congregation grows right here online, I want you to know that it makes me feel very, very excited about keeping on going and staying in my mission and keeping going everything that I've already started and those things that are yet to come. And so, with that being said, I am going to end the live and hope that you guys can go back and take a look at the animated version of Lydia and who she was, what she done for us, and who your Lydia is today in your life. So, with that being said, thank you guys so, so much. Again, that is Acts chapter 16, verse 11.